We're going to talk about the swarm. And the swarm is going to let you figure out how the few control the many. That's what we're going to talk about today. How the few control the many. We're going to use systems principles to understand this, but most importantly, we're going to learn how to destroy the swarm so we can achieve liberation in this lifetime. And you're also going to learn that there's no Messiah coming, that we have to do it here and now. And I would argue that as important as understanding Bernoulli's principles, engineering, overcoming gravity to build flying machines, understanding electricity and magnetism, mathematics and science, this understanding is even more powerful because it's about human liberation for truth, freedom, health. Something that we've been told over and over again, that's just the way the world is. You just have to accept it, Shiva. Some people are going to be subjugated, the vast majority, and others are going to always profit from them. I don't believe that. So let's begin by understanding this. So the question we want to understand, to start with, let's look at, this little set of people, let's say, are a bunch of people. And let's say this is what I call the elites. And maybe, let's say there's about 10,000 of them, okay? The question is, how is it these small set of people are able to manipulate, and I'm going to use, and we know there's about 8 billion of us, 8 billion people. How is it these people are able to manipulate the 8 billion people here, okay? All these people out there, okay? All over the planet, okay? How is it that the 10,000 here on a good day, we know there's about 600 billionaires, as many of you know, during the pandemic increased their wealth by $2.3 trillion. The scumbag, as I call him, Elon Musk, that's when he made all of his wealth, during the pandemic, okay? But 600 billionaires, among this, are the ones who, among other institutions, control these 8 billion people. How do they do this? Now, if you talk to a lot of the naive people, they think, it's the Rothschilds over here, right? Or it's the aliens, some people talk about, on another planet who are beaming information. And they get lost in this understanding because they don't understand it's not any one individual, it's not any one organization. It is the swarm. And you're going to understand swarm. Swarm is there's something called swarm intelligence. If you watch all those birds flying together, not any one of them is in control. They move together as a unit. They're closely knit. They're quote unquote telepathic, but they move with a singular goal. Again, the goal of the elites here, to get back, is power, profit, and control. This is the goal. So if we look at it from a control system side, this is the goal of the elites, okay? That's what they want. So how is it these people, what are they doing? What are the inputs they're sending into this system to achieve their goals? And what is the output that they seek? What is the output that they seek? How do they know their goals are being achieved? Well, they know that their goals are being achieved if the following is taking place. Okay, this is their output that they seek. The output that they seek, and I'm going to put it right here, are various things. So if you're an elite over here and you're looking at those 8 billion people, how do you know you're achieving your goal? Well, first of all, are people getting fat, meaning unhealthy? They like that, okay? They like people getting fat and unhealthy. Are people getting dumb, which means ignorant? They like that. Are people happy? Fat, dumb, and happy is what we're talking about here, which means, are they being entertained? They're not being educated, but they're being entertained. So that's some of the fundamentals. But one of the most important things they want to find out is, are people being divided? This is probably one of the most important things. Are people divided? Are they isolated? and disconnected from themselves, right? They don't want people here connecting with each other, all right? But that's what they look for. They also look for, are people feeling helpless? Again, disconnected is a big thing. Helpless. Are people looking to the elites to save them? And they like that. They like when people here are looking to them, the enemy here, for their saviors. They really love that. Okay, and think about that. They're looking to the elites to save them. Very, very important. Okay, they want people to be disorganized. And they definitely want people to be helpless. So look at all these things here. They want people to be fat, dumb, and happy, which is unhealthy, ignorant, and entertained. They want people particularly to be divided, isolated, disconnected, helpless. And they want people here to look to the elites for their answers. And another way I have talking to it, they want people here to become star fuckers. Okay? Star fuckers means they want people here to pay homage to some idiot over here to help them. Okay? It's a technical term, all right? But look at the output. This is what they want. I hope everyone's seeing this. Just look at this and absorb this. If the elites, they're achieving their goal, if the output coming out of these 8 billion people, let's call this the system, if this system is producing more fat, dumb, happy, divided, isolated, disconnected, helpless people, subservient to the elites, disorganized, and people being star fuckers. All right? So if you're listening to this right now, if you think Booby effing Kennedy is going to help you, you're a star fucker. If you think Trump is going to help you, you're a star fucker. If you think the elites over here are going to help you, you're a star fucker, okay? If you do not want to unite among people here and find who your own leaders are from below, then they are quite happy. They're achieving their goal, power, profit, and control. Now, how do they do this? Is it one individual that's doing this? Definitely not. What we're going to find is that it's a consortium, what I call a swarm, okay? And if I were to take this and I were to I'm going to draw sort of the swarm of people that they have here, okay? And you're going to realize it's not any one group. It's an interconnected, tightly knit group. And if you consider this their club, they're all closely interconnected. In fact, they all go to the same restaurants. They have all their kids going to the same equestrian shows. They all shop at the same place. They all go to the same parties. And guess what? You're not part of that. All right. This is what the elites are. So who are these people? All right. And what are the institutions of power that they have? Well, first of all, they have academia. Okay. They have academia here. Who is this academia? Well, this includes institutions like the president at Harvard, president of Oxford, president of Yale, and IIT in India, and so on, MIT. This is probably the top 100 university presidents. So just think about who I'm saying. These people are on boards of companies, but it's about 100 people who run the major universities in the world. Who are the other people? Well, it includes what we call NGOs, or nonprofits. These are people who run these huge nonprofit organizations like the Clinton Global Initiative. It includes WEF, World Economic Forum. It includes things like the CFR, Center for Foreign Relations. And there's many other institutions like these, but it's the CEOs of these institutions, okay? And these guys know each other. They definitely work together. In fact, again, they go to the same restaurants, they hang out at the same place, and they're probably neighbors, all right? Then the next thing you have is you have government, all right? Here, government includes US senators, for example, who all party at the same place. It includes prime ministers of countries. It includes advisors to government, okay? That's what we're talking about. Then over here, we have think tanks. These are intellectual think tanks. So they include, for example, the Belfer School at Harvard, okay? They include the Stanford Internet Observatory, which is the one with Belfer that they created the censorship infrastructure. This includes, CIA, right? Intelligence organizations. And again, all these people, as I'm drawing here, know each other. They're interconnected. They're a swarm, okay? They're not disconnected people. They're tightly knit. They're not divided like these people over here. They're not disconnected. They're highly interconnected. So the CEOs, of the NGOs, the senators, the prime ministers, the advisors, they all work together. They know the heads of the universities, and they're friends with all the think tanks. All right? Who else is there? So these people are focused on power, sustaining power. But then you also have a whole nother people. You have another set of people who are the CEOs of, let's say, the global 2,000 companies globally. And this could be companies like Target, right? Companies like Exxon. Companies like, what is it? Anheuser-Busch, right? Who has a Bud Light. And it could be other big organizations like big pharma companies, like Pfizer, big agriculture companies, like who? Like Syngenta, okay? We'll come back to these guys, and so on. It also includes, what we want to think about is big investment companies, Well, this is where you'd put JP Morgan. You'd put Deutsche Bank here. You'd put Epstein down here, okay? He was involved in all this, all right? And then over here, you also have the Fed, right? The central banks. And again, all these people are interconnected. They're not disconnected, tightly connected. The leaders of all these things, all these people party together. And this is something important to understand. When I say party together, I mean literally they party together, guys, okay? They're absolute close-knit friends. And in fact, the CEO of a global 2,000 company will easily move to one of the investment companies down here. If you look at Target, or you look at these big companies like Anheuser-Busch and Exxon, you'll find that at one point they were in one of these investment companies, and these investment companies sit on the board of these companies, and they shuffle back and forth, okay? Now, what these people also have, so this is all about making money, right? These people are about making the dollar. These people are all about power. This is profit. And then fundamentally, you have control. So you have Hollywood over here. This includes celebrities, right? You have their agents, Hollywood agents, like Ari Emanuel, as I've talked about, who's a guy who controls most of Hollywood. He controls, all the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, the MMA, etc. You also have another set of people, the media companies. This includes Disney. This includes Viacom. This includes now Facebook. This includes now Twitter, YouTube. These are large media companies. Google, you can put in there also, okay? And combined with this, now we have another group, okay? We have what I call these social media influencers, okay? This is like Joe Rogan, okay? These are people like, these characters who have come in, but they do not exist without support from these guys. If you notice, overnight, a bunch of social media influencers have come out of nowhere, right? And you also have, what am I missing here? Let me just get one section here. So we not only have those people, but we also have, forgetting the news stations, okay? With these big news stations, CNN, Fox, oh, by the way, the social media influencers now are Tucker Carlson. Okay? And these people are created by these people. So when you look at this, the academics, the NGOs, the government, the think tanks, the investment companies, the Fed, the big pharma, the CEOs, the Hollywood celebrities, media, social media influencers, and the news companies. And you can even take the top 10 of each one of these. They all know each other, everyone. They're not friends. They know each other. And in order to manipulate these people, what they have to do is they have to send these people, they have their front men. They need front men to manipulate these people with policies. Because what comes out are policies. What comes out are, these are the inputs they put into the system, propaganda. They feed these people also false heroes. Okay? They feed these people purposely, people who they tell them are going to save them, like the Elon Musks, right? Or Trump or the Kennedys, okay? And the other thing we'll come back to is they always try to normalize dysfunction. Now, who are the people part of the swarm that does that? Well, they have a very another nice set of people who are also connected to the swarm. They have the obvious establishment. Obvious establishment, as I like to call it, okay? And these people are like the Clintons, right? Or the McConnells. Or the Obamas. Or the Bushes. Or the Queen of England. These people are what I call the obvious establishment. So typically people say, oh yeah, those guys are part of the establishment. But one of the things we teach at Truth Freedom Health is that the most insidious people, and this is why I've been so explosively exposing these people, are what I call the not so obvious establishment. Not so obvious establishment. These are the people that are created to make sure that the 8 billion people look to the elites to save them. These are the people like Trump. He's got a golden toilet. Mar-a-Lago, Kennedy's, completely bogus family. And if you look at this booby fucking Kennedy, he literally steals my material. A few days ago, I talked about endocrine disruptors. He goes on Jordan Peterson, says it. One day he says he's for, everything. We're in Ukraine for all the right reasons. Then he says, oh, well, Biden is there for a different reason. He speaks from both sides of the mouth. And that's what the NSOEs do. You can look at historically people like Gandhi, okay? Or people like MLK. These people all came and were endorsed by the swarm. These people do not exist. They live in Malibu. They live in the places of the elites. So let me look at this again. You have the obvious establishment and the not so obvious. And these people are the ones that are used to send the inputs of this controller. So in system science, these are the controllers. These are the people controlling the inputs that go in. And remember, their goal is to make sure people are in the state of division, disconnection, and helplessness, particularly. And they're observing all this. They have their sensors. And one of the features that they notice is that as long as people are in dysfunction and diseased, mentally, physically, emotionally, they're happy. Well, what are those diseases these days? Okay. What do we see today? We see obesity. We see endocrine disruption in people. We see men with low testosterone now, okay? And people questioning their sexuality, okay? Endocrine disruptors, okay? We also see people with cancer, right? Heart disease, so on, and just death. As I shared a few days ago, we are literally seeing, if I were to draw a curve, while the rest of the world's population's life expectancy is going down, the United States is going this way, and this is from 1980 to like 2020 now. They like this. This is life expectancy. In fact, when they see dysfunction, you know what they do? They put another input in, which is normalize the dysfunction. What do I mean by this? Well, if you think about the academia, the NGOs, the government, all of these people, for the last 50 years, an example of policies that they promoted is, okay, eat sugars and high fructose food. Well, over here, people have been literally getting fat. It's led to obesity. Or they've been putting in foods that are affecting people's gut microbiome. Okay, this is what I call from policy to biology. People are getting obese. And this obesity, what is this doing? Or any of these dysfunctions? First of all, it's giving people more power. It's giving these people right here more profit. Let's just put here profit. And it's giving people here control. Because the celebrities, the media, the NSOEs who are doing this, and people are getting worse and worse, they're actually making more money because the obesity now creates obesity drugs. Okay? The endocrine disruptors, let's talk about this. One of the reasons I want to talk about this is think about what's happening over here. And we want to go to this to really understand it. And this will really explain what's going on with Bud Light. Okay? Several years ago, about 20 years ago, there was research done at the universities that clearly showed that the use of restricted use pesticides like atrazine and other chemicals in the atmosphere are actually cause endocrine disruption, which could reduce male testosterone, which could also affect people, mammals, where the sex organs can change. And this was done by the work of Tyrone Hayes. So if you're over here at a university and you find out one of your researchers discovered that, and you are playing golf with people over here at Syngenta is the one who produced atrazine, they're going to say, hey, man, we don't want this research coming out. Because you have to understand something. The investment community here is investing in all of these companies. So if you're an investment, one of these large investment companies, you're moving trillions of dollars. $600 trillion, by the way, move through the economy every day. So you as one of the elites managers of money, you're moving all this money. And by the way, you know all of these people. You know the CEO of Target, you know the CEO of Anheuser-Busch, you know the CEO of Pfizer and Syngenta. And imagine that you see that, wow, you know, the stuff that we've been creating over here is causing sexual disruption changes. Men's testosterone levels are dropping. And maybe there is some distribution of sexuality in the norm, you know, of various types of sexualities, but you're seeing a phenomenon where more and more people are questioning their sexuality. In fact, the statistics are 39% of trans, there's 39% of the men are, 39% are of the trans culture, 39% are trans women, and 36% are trans men, right? So you're seeing this growth of some disruption. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that the general public doesn't understand this, because if they did, they would awaken to something that's going on from the decisions you made. So you call up your friend, the investment calls up his friend at Bud Light. He goes, hey, look, let's run a campaign. Let's normalize trans. Let's exploit someone like even a willing person to be exploited, like this Dylan Mulvaney. Let's put them on as a poster boy for Bud Light, all right? And let's push them out there because we want the attention to normalize a dysfunction. So they normalize this dysfunction because the goal is to make sure they don't lose their trillions over in Syngenta. They're willing to take $1 billion hit over here, but they want to save their trillions in big pharma and big ag. You follow? Because they're all part of the same family. They all do favors for each other. And this is why it makes sense. Why would you do it Bud Light? And then again, then you would go do it at Target. You try to normalize it because you don't want people over here to understand the bigger picture, okay? But you are interconnected. You could strike deals left and right. Let's do a marketing campaign in here. Let's normalize. Same thing if you can look at what's going on in obesity. All these pharma companies are making big money from obesity drugs, but there's movies on Netflix and Amazon promoting fat people as a norm. Now, what happens over here? What's happening over here is that you have people who are pro-fat, you know, and people who are anti-fat people. You have people who are pro-woke and anti-woke, and they don't care. So you have a bunch of these idiots writing books against woke companies and anti-woke companies. You have people creating apps. Okay, only shop at anti-woke companies. Don't go to woke companies. But you guys understand that these guys don't give a damn? They're making money anyway. The investment bankers are going to make money from woke companies and anti-woke companies. But what's occurring here is people are being divided. People are being divided. These guys are happy because they're inputting policies and propaganda. People here are being divided, and that is the goal, to achieve power, profit, control, right? So as long as these people work together as a swarm to control the policies and the propaganda, and they provide false heroes, and they're using the Trumps, the Kennedys, and Gaudis, all of them who talk a big game, their goal is to make sure that you never understand this, that you keep thinking, oh, Kennedy's going to solve the problem, Trump is going to solve the problem, or some other bullshitter. And they want to make sure that you never, get a Malcolm X on your side. One of you never, follow a Dr. Shiva, okay? And they surely don't want you to follow you. They don't want you to be leaders in your own communities. They want you to outsource your future to people like Trump or Kennedy because they're part of the swarm. Does that make sense? Is everyone understanding that? John, you think people are getting it? So the key thing to understand is this swarm is same set of people. And the not so obvious establishment is the one that delivers you false heroes. So just step back and let's look at this. Let's step back and look at this. You have the elites, about 10,000 people. And by the way, as I said, 600 billionaires made $2.3 trillion during the pandemic. Let's not forget that. So these people, the 600 billionaires, have this huge network of academia. John, you can go in here. Academia, NGOs, government, prime ministers, senators, advisors, think tanks. Then they have CEOs of Global 2000 companies, big pharma CEOs, big ag, investment company CEOs like JP Morgan, the Fed, central banks, the news organizations, CNN, Fox, social media influencers, Rogan, Tucker Carlson, go down the list. Media companies, Disney, Viacom, Facebook, Twitter, Hollywood, celebrities and agents. And the obvious establishment is who you see. So you have some people being pro-obvious and other people saying, oh, Kennedy is going to help me or Trump is going to help me. They create division here through policies, propaganda, and false heroes. False heroes are one of the powerful things they do. And you keep getting more unhealthy, more ignorant, more entertained. But most importantly, you are divided. People here don't organize themselves to smash these people up. And this is the history of human oppression. They have it down to a system, a goal, they have a controller, they have specific inputs, and they manipulate billions of people to achieve this state. They produce dysfunction, and basically, they don't give a damn if you die. And people are actually, right now in the United States, the life expectancy in the United States is less than it was. Your children, basically in the United States, per this graph, are going to die sooner than you. And they've achieved their goal. They don't give a damn. Do you understand? These people are eating organic foods. They get the best restaurants. They get the best insurance. They get the best health care. And this is what they want to achieve. And that's how they're controlling people. The other way they're controlling you is they want you to keep looking to the elites, like these idiots like Trump and Kennedy and all these people, to save you. They want you to look to the swarm. They do not want you to ever support a Malcolm X or a Dr. Shiva, me, or you. They don't want you to become leaders, okay? And this is a goal. As long as you're divided, as long as you're looking over here, you're going to achieve their goal of power, profit, and control. So what's the way out? How do we win? How do we win? Well, the first way we win is, as I mentioned here, everyone's got to be aware of the science of systems. Without this understanding, without these foundational understanding of that, there are goals, there are controllers, there are systems, there are intelligence, and there are dumb systems. You are never going to break out of this because you will think everything is, oh my God, we got to talk about aliens and UFOs and flat earth or this. All those may be interesting topics, but they don't come down to the fundamentals of understanding this. And the only way out of this is people here have got to understand the principles of system science. And the good news is you can learn this at Truth Freedom Health. So first of all, learn these principles at Truth Freedom Health. That's the only place. I'm not here trying to sell you anything. This is my gift to people. And if you can't be part of this and you don't want to be part of it, we've made it accessible to all your children. Any person who goes through the course, you can give it to your children, 13 to 18. Anyone can learn this. But the goal is go to Truth, Freedom, Health, and you will understand the science of systems. So we've created that weapon. And with this weapon, now we have a way to smash. This is a hammer here, right? We have a way to smash this swarm. But without the understanding of this, without you understanding this system science, without you understanding the knowledge of systems, you will never break out of this. And that is what I wanted to share with you today. And before I close today, we're going to come back shortly, but I want to let you know that this entire knowledge of system science is foundational to our achieving truth, freedom, health, which is a very different goal than power, profit, and control. And this is how we break from a small set of people